all the photographers were like overwhelmed and they needed a solution. They needed a solution to serve more clients and speed their workflow. So Imagine was perfect. Think about Imagine as your best assistant that you train. So you hired me, you train me, and I'm really your best assistant. I'm really dedicated to understand you.
Welcome to Shoot the Veil, a mobile app made by wedding photographers for wedding photographers to help inspire you to create and equip you to grow. I'm Sam.
And I'm Donnie, and this podcast is about wedding photography as an art and as a business. Hey everybody, welcome to Shoot the Veil. We're so glad that you're here. Today we have Oren. He is the CMO and COO of ImagenAI. We know you've heard of Imagine. You're probably using Imagine. And today we're going to get to know one of the many personalities at Imagine that make it so special. And it really is a unique company in the whole world. It's relatively young and like new to the photography world, but it's exploding everywhere. And everybody's talking about AI and how it's used. Today we're going to get to know some of the more cool inside stuff.
I'm super excited about this too, because I feel like over the past year and a half we've been doing this, the conversation of AI has been brought up with like multiple of our guests.
Yeah.
And we all have different takes on it. And now it's a full circle moment because we get to talk to one of the founding fathers, if you will, of AI and how it's actually implemented into wedding photography, not just wedding photography, really any kind of photography, from real estate, portraiture to family photos and wedding photography. So man, Ron, thank you for setting aside some time. And I know you're in Israel, so the time difference is completely different, but it's seen and appreciated.
Awesome, man. For sure. Thank you for having me here, guys. I really appreciate that.
Absolutely. We're honored. Just getting in contact with you over email was like, no way. Ron Oren, like, this is crazy.
No.
Definitely went home and told my wife.
Don't say it. No. I mean, I really enjoy being here, so it's mutual.
Very cool,
yes, man.
Well, thank you. Let's dive in to some of the crazy stuff as we're kind of getting started. We'll get into all the neat things about Imagine, but can we just start with AI? Because we've been having this conversation for 2 years with photographers, but just with everyone who's doing anything in the world. AI is a thing. Can you talk a little bit about just that general category? What's happening? What's exciting? What are the potential things people can do with AI? Because you live in that world.
Well, that's where should I start? I think AI is it's too big term to kind of conclude it, right? It's a technology. So let's start with the basic. Let's start with making it smaller, not bigger.
Okay.
AI is a simple technology. It's a technology, right? It's not we should not make something bigger than it is because beyond our understanding. So first of all, it's a technology built by us, built by everyone. It's very democratized these days. It's becoming to be simpler and simpler. The beauty of it is that it can basically, create, I would say, a mix or like a complex calculation very fast, and basically also work with you or learn the way that you actually, I would say, feeding the technology. I think that what we're seeing these days, the application that we're seeing these days around AI are really the tip of the iceberg. And I think most of those technologies are taking simple, repetitive tasks and try to automate them through AI, which is this is a perfect purpose of why AI is being built, basically to take repetitive small tasks that can be learned, that you can learn the pattern of how they are, what are these tasks, and AI can basically save you time or, basically create more things based on how did you deal with things. And I think that the challenge or like the debate will start where AI is actually helping you to be more efficient than AI is creating instead of you things. So this is where this is where I would set the border between, what is AI for me in a way. The generation versus like the efficiency and the repetitive tedious work.
Right.
And most of the application we are seeing these days are simple technology that basically creating simple tasks through how AI has been built and analyze things, and some unique and very, I would say, innovative and interesting that spark the imagination is actually creating through AI, which obviously have a lot of things to discuss about, whether it's where it's going and what we should do about it as people.
Yeah, that question of should keeps coming up. Like that word keeps coming up. We know we can, but should we? And you guys, like Imagine actually hosted a conversation about that. I thought it was interesting that you're not necessarily guiding the should question, but you're giving an opportunity, you're giving a platform for us to discuss, for all photographers to discuss it. And I think exactly. I respect that of Imagine. You're not trying to be dictating like this versus that. You're saying, okay, let's talk about it. Would you unpack one of those debates you were sharing with us earlier, Sam and Boris? Yeah, tell us about that in case somebody missed that. Give us the backstory of what happened with that. I think it's a great way to see and kind of analyze how we feel about what AI is capable of and what it should be for.
Yeah. I mean, thank you for sparking the idea of this conversation. And so, like the backstory is Boris is a German photographer that basically applied for a Sony award competition. He won that competition. After he won the competition, he actually declared that the image was generated by AI and not actually captured by him. It was a big news story back then around that Sony actually took their word from Boris. I don't want to get into the story of of Sony side of things,
right?
But I will just say that Boris is actually because of that, he actually became to be very advocate and proactively trying to explain that he believed that this is part of photography, and not a photography in a way. So he actually see himself as a photographer, even that he generated that photo. The debate with Sam was around that, basically, whether what Boris called, which is, sorry if I'm not pronouncing it right, and sorry for my English, it's not my first language. Boris called it promptography.
Promptography. Okay, yeah.
Promptography. So it's kind of evolution of photography in a way. And I think that the debate was around, what is a photography? What is a photographer? There is a big, basically, when you take a photo, obviously you need lights in order to actually create a photo. So when you generate AI, there is no light, so you cannot call it a photography, technically. But then it's kind of, you're defining you as an artist, what is, if you generate or capture a moment, that's will call you a photographer, or the technical thing of capturing the light and actually making the photo. So it's a debate of whether the photographer is actually the one that actually observed and created something, or the one who actually capture a moment.
Definitely.
Interesting.
So it's more as a philosophic debate around it. Again, I don't have an opinion here. I think that as Imagine, I'm grateful for being able to facilitate this type of debates and conversation, because I think they are emerging these days, and I think it's important for people to kind of brainstorm and have an opinion about them, because the generation that now learning photography will define the future in many ways. So it's better to coin the term right now and actually have to know yourself.
Exactly. And you know, when we have this conversation, a few things come to mind, and I'll the multiple rabbit holes, if you will. But one of them is I think of this AI world and how photos are changing, and I kind of see it as film to digital in a way. There's a different respect to an image taken in 1950 with a big camera with a curtain over your head and a flash, and it's so much different. And as we evolved and we came to pocket Polaroids that we can take pictures and print, there's a different feeling to that as well. And now we're to a point where I can take 3,000 photos in an hour if I wanted to. And all the photographers listening have had the older generation come up to them at a wedding and be like, "Oh yeah, I used to shoot on film back in those days. I'm a real photographer."
Right.
And so as photography evolves, I think there's going to be a different class of respect. I think 30 years from now, when people look at an image that was pure, like there was no AI amending to the image, there's going to be a different respect. Just like we respect Ansel Adams for the portraits. I mean, not the portraits, the landscapes that he shot. These are raw moments that really happened. And I think there's just going to be a different class. I think there's just going to be a different class of, oh my gosh, this is a real photo of Grandpa. This wasn't AI generated. And I think that's going to, I think it's going to hold its power that we have today. I think it's going to have that magic that was a real image at a real time.
You're bringing up something that's really important, because Ron, you were telling us in our call, like there is a world in the future that you could imagine, start not to use imagine, but that you could think of that.
It's a great name.
It just works all the time, man. It's so good. I can't imagine a better name. Anyway, move on. But you were talking about you could potentially come to a photographer and say, "This is what my grandmother looks like. She's no longer with us. I would like for her to be in the photos." That world is very easily happening right now, probably.
I do it.
The question that you're bringing up, Sam, is more philosophical, but it speaks to our humanity. Do we want Grandma in that picture? It'll make us feel good when we look at it, but it wasn't real.
Right.
That category of thought is crazy that we can do that. We've seen it in movies, like they're jumping off a cliff. They're not really jumping off a cliff. They're hanging from a cord in a studio.
Right.
Like, so we've seen it and we enjoy it when we watch films, but now we're given the opportunity of having things that we could hold in our hand that look like a memory, but never happened.
Right.
That's wild.
That gets weird. And personally, I just don't like it. I just don't. I think there's images, there's AI generated images that are completely from a black canvas, nothing's on it, that something's put there. And I don't think that classifies as photography.
Okay,
I am actually taking an opinion on this.
You got an opinion?
I have a strong opinion. That is not photography.
Everybody's going to hate us now.
I know. That's a new category called AI art, or AI promptography, if you will.
Yeah.
But then there's another category where I take a group photo and I'm removing the exit sign above the door and removing the fire extinguisher on the wall. And is that altering a memory? No.
Right.
You go back into the photography, even in the 1890s, when they would get an image, they would get a little stencil and they would cut out little images and replace it with other parts. That's been happening for a long time. That's where I think it's art, and I think it's okay to use AI to amend an image. But in this case, with you guys, you're really not even doing any of that. You're simply finding a repeatable process, and you're helping photographers by giving them time back and helping them identify their editing styles, and then assisting them with your software. And it's not even actual generative work. It is processes.
But I will be careful here because there is some things, or some things that can potentially evolve in the product that will be manipulation on the photos.
Yeah.
Things that will, basically our premise is not to be non-manipulation. Our premise is to save you time as a photographer and basically to let you focus on what you love, right? So
Yes.
So for me, it's really about efficiency, save time. But the thing is, like, where the border is crossed of creativity? That's the question. That's the values that we need to kind of ask ourselves as a product company, where we replacing you as a photographer, which is not our values, or when we basically easing your process that you're already gonna do. So if it was something that you would do, we will be there for you with technology. If it's something that you will not do and we will think instead of you, this is not our values.
Okay.
I love that.
So it's really about, like, if you did some manipulation on the photos and you want to make it faster and you want to make it personalized based on your taste and the way that you would do it, Imagen is the tool for you.
Yeah.
And I think it's a values, like, AI companies should set their values very clearly. Back to the question of, like, where AI is at currently. So basically it's the creator of these companies, their values is really what will define the future of AI in a way. And this is why it's very important to, when a company reaching a certain scale, it's very important to understand what is the values of the people behind it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good.
I just want to say, my head is spinning with thoughts about what you said before. About from film to digital. By the way, I think that AI photo editing is actually evolution of, like, film, digital, Lightroom, Lightroom, and then AI photo. I think it's a clear evolution
100%.
altogether. And we see ourselves as part of this evolution.
Yeah.
But I want to say that I think that the main thing that has changed, that Ansel Adams, sorry if I'm not pronouncing it right.
That's right.
When he shoot, like, landscape, amazing landscape, he really take a time to set all the setting in the camera, take the time, take the perfect photo. So it was like, few photos and then he can actually process them. And I think that now these days you're taking tons of photos and you're relying on AI to help you with the process. So something about you as an observer is becoming to be less mindful in a way. You are less mindful about what you're observing because you say, I will just take the photo. I will just, as many photos I will capture as, I will take as many photos as possible. Later, technology will solve it. And I think that this is where photographer actually should, and I'm taking an opinion here.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think that this is actually where a photographer should set their own border and say, where is my border of, like, taking as much photos as a photo and relying on technology where I do invest in being mindful about the photo that I'm taking and not depending on technology. And this is really where art is being, and you can really see it from photographer to photographer, how mindful he was when he took the photo.
Hey guys, real quick, just to interrupt the podcast. We were talking about ways to see this grow. We're so excited to have an impact in a real way on the wedding photography world. We want to see it grow and become all that it's supposed to be, and you become all that you're supposed to be. One of the coolest things that we could see you do right now is give a 5-star review, subscribe to the podcast. That tells Apples and Spotify's and all that it's cool, that other people might like it. So that would mean the world to us, and I think it would mean a lot to the wedding photography world. So thank you for your support. Now back to the show.
I want to bring something up. I had a conversation with a friend the other day, and she was asking me, how are you getting your photos back so fast? And how and why? And I said, the reason why people love your photos or love a photo of themselves, specifically in wedding photography, really isn't about the edit. It's about the photo and how they feel in that photo. It's about how their body looks. And so when you allow help to come in and help out on a process that is repeatable, and someone else can do it, you're freeing yourself to spend more time to focus on them. And so if I spend just 25% more of my time for this entire wedding process of making sure that my couples feel good in their photos, they're going to value those photos so much more. It's the same reason why some of my favorite photos of myself are on an iPhone. Even some of them are on an Android. And it's not because of, the editing. It's a big part of what we do, and we don't want to get rid of that. That's 50% of most people's work. But there is something that only you can do, and that's taking a picture. And that's where most of the work has gone into play. But a lot of the time has gone into editing. And with Imagine, you get a lot of that back, and you're getting the same product at the end of the day. Tell me, with that being said, tell me a little bit more about the story of Imagine. I know it, and I think it's so cool that you and your buddies set out to help a photographer with his wedding photos. Tell me about that story. I think people would value so much just the overall moral of this company.
So that's the beauty of of the product. By the way, it didn't change so much since then. It's the basics are still there, and I think that Imagine started from a real pain and a real solution, which a good product should start with and should be led by. So my partner Yoav got married a few years ago. He is an AI expert. He is really I really appreciate his talent. He's very good at what he do. And he got married, and basically his photographer is a well-known photographer here in Israel. Nitzan Gur is a great guy. I spent hours with him in his garage, so love this guy. And basically Yoav waited a few months for the photo to arrive, and just he became to be frustrated. What taking so long? I mean, just send me my photos. Talking about a few years ago, where ChatGPT does not exist, and AI is not so common. And basically, instead of being super frustrated about it, he actually offered Nitzan to build a product for him. To accelerate the process for him to send Yoav his photos. So all he wanted is just his photos to arrive faster.
That's amazing.
So he built the product. It was a very simple product. It was a line of a few lines of code tailored for Nitzan. So basically it learned how Nitzan is edit, and analyze it and apply the edit on top of the photos.
That's crazy. I mean, you make it sound so simple. Let's just double click on that for a second. This didn't exist 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Imagine wasn't nobody was doing that to Lightroom. And he just said, I'm going to figure this out because I want my pictures faster.
Man,
getting
married is the best thing that ever happened to him.
It's important to say that it's not it's not Cinderella, it's not like Disney. It's Yoav is an expert in visual AI, so basically he have a deep knowledge in the field, and his technology and talent is really the core of this company. So he knew what he's doing, but the funny thing here is that he didn't thought it's going to evolve. He basically just wanted to kind of solve a pain. What happened next is the big story that Nitzan raved about it, share it with 10 friends, and 10 friends share it with their 10 friends. And in a few weeks, it's really boomed. And I think back then it was COVID started and everyone was kind of locked in. And I think that was a perfect timing for photographers to ask deep dramatic questions about their workflows in a way.
Yeah.
It's like rethink workflows, right? Like you're sitting in a home, like no events, no nothing, no job. You're really rethinking about your business. And I think that this is how people realized that Imagine is exist and got used to it and really give it a try. And this is how it's all started.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's crazy timing. So this brilliant idea, he had a backstory. He had probably trained for 10 years on AI and imaging through AI. And then he gets married right before COVID. He has this problem. And then during COVID, everybody has time to learn what this is.
Exactly.
They aren't covered up with weddings. They have time to figure out a new workflow. And then we emerge from this insanity into a new world, and everybody's now ready for it. They're using it. And you guys have talk about where you are now, like what's happened in the marketplace now.
So not just everyone. So right, COVID emerged. It's impacted everyone, and I think that again, like people have learned and adapted to a new technology, or were early adopter of a new technology. But post COVID was insane, because the year after COVID, I think it's 2022, basically was packed with all the events that did not exist during COVID.
Yeah.
Yes.
So everyone, all the photographer were like, overwhelmed basically. And they needed a solution. They needed a solution to basically, serve more clients and speed their workflow. So Imagine was perfect. Yeah. And during COVID, people got used to Imagine or learned the technology, or like did not have the fear of like trying it. So I think the timing there was perfect, because we evolved the learning curve where things were slow. And then when everyone needed that, they already knew and trusted the product and used that in scale. And that was kind of the big jump. Yeah. The company is very young. We are 4 years old.
Wow.
And in the last few years, obviously, it's a hyper growth momentum.
Yeah.
It's a product market fit. And I think that what we do is we do it very efficiently and also very mindfully. So we go in step by step. We're building quality products that we really trust and like, and we slowly, gradually release them.
Yeah, so I respect that. I see in this day and age, technology allows speed, but that isn't always the best thing. Because it also allows you options, and a lot of entrepreneurs chase every option possible. And I think what you said earlier about knowing your values and adhering to those values is what's allowing you guys to keep the product valuable. Because there are many things you could do, but you're not chasing all of them. You're focusing on things that help the photographer right now to get their life back, to give them time back.
The professional photographer. It's not even just all photographer. It's the professional photographer who deal with batch editing, that they have a dedicated style. They know their style. It's a very specific photographer. And if you are such a photographer, you know I'm talking about you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You know, if you know. So tell me a little more. So we have some people that are on here and they're hearing about this. Wow, this sounds like it's going to solve all my problems. I want to hear how it actually works. So if I go sign up an account, do I import Lightroom catalogs? Does it read what I've done to other images? Because it's not just pasting a preset on there. It's actually learning how you tweak the preset.
That's good.
And then, and then applying that to each image specifically, right?
Yeah. So first of all, like our first ad was like the future beyond presets, right? So like presets are part of your style in many ways. Right. You chose them. It's part of your choices. So we are understanding also which preset you use, but we are not applying the preset as is. We actually learn. So think about Imagine as your best assistant that you train. So you hired me, you train me, and I'm really your best assistant. I'm really dedicated to understand you. So you give me as much as possible edited photos that you appreciate and you actually do want for me to learn from. It starts from 3,000 photos to how many you would like. The more you upload, it's better for the technology. And so this is how accuracy will be higher. You basically upload your Lightroom catalog or your folder with edited photos, RAW or JPEG. Then ImagenAI basically your style, which is it's not categorizing like outdoor, indoor, daylight, nightlight. It's actually understanding everything all together and understand how you treat the color correction, how you treat the color science, I would say, of the image. So given a certain image, how you actually treating that image based on many parameters. It can be from the camera that you choose to the color correction that you do, to the setting, the scenery. And then once your profile is ready, which is very quick, a matter of a few hours, then you have, basically you can look at that as your DNA in many ways.
Wow.
It's like a profile that is your own DNA. There is no other profile than yours. And then you upload a fresh batch of photos, however you would like. It's less than a third of a second per image, so it's very quick.
Oh my gosh.
You upload it, ImagenAI the photo. Basically, we compress the photos, we analyze the photo, and then we predict, or the profile predict how you would edit that photo. And then we send back the file for you to open in Lightroom, the actual XMP. And then you open Lightroom, and then you will see how all the edits are applied in your catalog in Lightroom.
Wow. So all of the actual data is still there on my editing side. So if I want to go in and tweak, I can. It's not actually pasted and exported on. It's just actually implemented into Lightroom. And it's doing this at up to 180 images per minute.
That's crazy.
That's insane. And that was
some fast math there.
I mean, think about it. You could have an entire wedding done. You can have an entire wedding done in like
10 hours. 10 minutes.
10 minutes. 10 minutes.
Wow.
No, that's how long it would take me if I didn't use this. Yeah.
Less.
If I deliver 1,000 images, I can have it done in like 7 minutes. It's insane.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time. I spend a lot of time cropping, and I do a lot of like.
Yes.
What would you call that?
Yeah, it's creative cropping.
Creative cropping. I knew you had a word for it. I spend a lot of time creative cropping.
Straightening.
Do you guys do that? Straightening stuff and.
Yeah, so when I'm saying color correction, obviously it's not just that. We evolved dramatically since only color correction was what the early days solution. Today, when I say a third of a second for your edits, it's mean that crop. Also, we learn and we apply crop for your photos, straightening. Most of photos need straightening. Subject mask.
No way.
So how you treat masking. Also for real estate, we offer HDR. And perspective correction for real estate.
Really?
We are releasing tons of AI tools very soon. So such as these. So basically, it's our retouching in a way, and advanced tools. Or enhancement tools.
Does it do skin retouching and all the things that everything I would do as a photographer? Does it go in and remove blemishes?
So I forgot to mention, but also skin smoothing. Yeah.
Wow.
Skin smoothing is crazy. Part of the.
Everybody's listening to this thinking, "Oh my gosh, more time with my family."
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, more time with my friends.
What about culling? Because I feel like this is a decision point that. I've always had every conversation we've had about AI, I always come back to culling, and it's about what I feel like is choosing potential. Like it's obvious to see that was a perfect image. Those 3 weren't, that one's perfect. But as an artist, I like to think that I do a good job choosing potential in images that others may not see.
Yeah. Keep that.
Culling.
Keep that.
Okay.
That's actually that's actually what will define you uniquely and all differently than others.
Okay.
I love that.
So yes, we do culling. Culling is Imagine is a workflow. So editing is one part of the workflow. In Imagine, we actually offer the full workflow. We call it from the camera to delivery, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is the full workflow that potentially can be done with Imagine. So currently in your Imagine account, you also have storage. So you have you can call it the Google Drive or Dropbox alternative in your Imagine account. And also the culling process, which is free while it's in beta, and our editing solution. Now, for the culling part, culling is an art. All right, I want to answer culling by answering the editing. So you mentioned before that editing is happening in Lightroom, and then in Lightroom, you basically work in Lightroom. And this is how I think the technology should work, because it should not be the final version. You also you need to have your own touch. So you need to see it in Lightroom and see if you're happy with it, or to fine tune your photos. That's your responsibility as a photographer. This is how we work currently with Lightroom. And our goal is basically to minimize the time there, and for you only to do your art, your magic in Lightroom.
Yeah.
So culling is very subjective, extremely subjective, and it changed from event to event. So to do like a personalized culling, obviously it's a premise that you should doubt about what is a personalized culling, because that's kind of the question of like the creation versus like you versus the technology that create for you.
Yeah.
So if it's personalized, is it choosing for you or you choose it? Is it really your style or not? So there is a big philosophical question about it, about personalized culling. And currently, Imagine culling is actually really, really good at understanding like the flattering or the images that you will want to start and have your own. So the starting point for you to actually tell the story of your project, of your wedding, of anything, any photography project that you are dealing with. So the idea for us is to give you a jump start or a starting point for you to actually tell the story.
Okay.
Exactly.
So this is in my head. I want to throw this in there just to hear your take on this. This couple is crazy. They had just a blast. They laughed the whole time. They would love just about every image that makes them and their guests look like they had a great time. This couple is a perfectionist. He's a lawyer. She's a doctor. They want everything to look perfect. They aren't silly. I know that. Can I trust Imagine to know that? To think that way?
No.
Or is that still the art that I'm going to bring to it?
That's the art. That's the art. What Imagine can do for you is actually to make sure that you are not spending time on the photos that for sure you would not want.
Yeah.
Or to say Imagine, include them and take only the it's really like the setting that you will choose for your culling. But it's you controlling like the output of it.
Okay.
But we will not be in a place. I mean, it's hard to say, but we will not be in a place where we analyze your client personality,
right?
Because that's your responsibility.
I hear that.
I have so much respect for you for saying that.
Yeah.
Let me just put you saying that was the best thing that anybody could hear. Because I think this kind of goes back to what you're saying earlier. There's a lot of ways we could go. There's a lot of ways. AI generative, culling here. But you clearly understand the difference between designating tasks that can be replaceable, repeatable and put onto a system versus where the artist comes into play.
Yeah.
And that validates what you're doing so much.
It's good.
Because you understand, hey, you know what? we can cull, and if you do a portrait session in here, maybe we can do portrait sessions and cull that fine. But when it comes to a wedding day where there's a lot of emotions at play, Ron, you understand that you as the photographer are the person with the best vision of that, and it's probably best if we stick to that part. But we do understand how you edit, and I can be the best editor you ever had because I understand you much deeper from every single node. How you tweak these things, how do you tweak your shadows, how do you tweak your HSL nodes. But one thing that AI can't do is read the emotion on that bride's face when she sees
the capturing.
Exactly.
The reason that you click that button, I will never know.
Wow.
That's yours. You know what I mean? You are the one that actually clicked the button. After that, let me do like everything for you extremely fast as possible, and to deliver the photos for you wherever you want them.
Yes.
For the next step, whether it's in Lightroom or whether it's in a folder or in your any application that you will choose, basically.
Okay.
That's our premise. For you to focus on what you love, which is taking more work, spending time with your family, or retouching.
Hey guys, if you're already a member of Shoot the Veil, feel free to skip through this. If you're not, I want to talk to you about something that could change your career as a wedding photographer. Shoot the Veil is a new platform that is built by wedding photographers for wedding photographers. This platform has everything you need, from courses from creators you love, posing and planning, follow-alongs, and exclusive interviews with some of the world's best wedding photographers. And on top of that, we give away some crazy cool gear every month. If you're not in, go check it out and download it now.
Can I work with Imagine in a way that I would my assistant? In other words, in this particular conversation. So, hey, Imagine, give me the basic call, and then I get it back and say, I'd like actually these other 50 that were trash. I want you to do those as well. And then send it back to Imagine, and it does another take on it.
As a feedback. Yeah. I mean,
so it's learning me in a sense.
In a sense, I would say yes, but in a sense, because like it's not how in editing, it's exactly how you describe it. Culling is just a different creature in a way. Got it. But in editing, if you go to Lightroom and have your photo edited and you review them, and you didn't like, let's say the shadow, and you tweak the shadow just a bit, and you tweak contrast in a different photo. Then you send it back to Imagen for Imagen to learn it again, to fine tune your profile. Cool. So you want it to learn the fine tune and keep on optimizing. In culling is different. In culling, it's more like as a command of like, don't do that next time.
Yeah. So if I like my saturation up at 100%, and I do like crazy things, it's going to start spitting those out. And then if I decide later, I'm going to pull that back, I'm going to evolve. I'm going to grow a little bit as a photographer. Maybe super saturated isn't cool anymore. I'm going to change the way I like it. It's going to learn that, he's shifting. I'm going to start doing it this new way.
Yeah. I mean, one of the cool features in Imagen is like that you can share your profile with friends, right? We are a cloud-based company, so it's allowed us to do many things. Yeah. So you can share your profile with Sam for Sam to edit in your style. And then after a year, you can tell Sam, hey, I evolved my style. I just trained again my profile. It changed.
Retrained my model. Yeah.
And you can use it and share it with friends and colleagues. And this is great.
That's so cool. You guys just recently partnered with Greg Peterson for a lot of his looks. And his profiles are now on there, which I think is so cool. This guy's the preset maker for photographers, and being able to go in and just now click a button. I want his style and apply it to this wedding. Yeah.
AI style. This is super. The AI style, like the style that actually learn how you photo, and you have that person, that talent, edit for you. So in our talent, like look at that as we have our 19. Pre-built talent AI profiles, right? So these are like top photographers that we partner with and actually created their style. Let's say Susan Stripling, for example, one of them. So imagine that you can now shoot a wedding and Susan sitting with you in your office and edit with you. immediately. So this is how analyzing the photo and actually edit how she would edit that photo for you.
What
That's
a
nuts.
shortcut to success. I mean,
crazy.
You just saved yourself so much work. And it's proven that people love Susan's work. It's not proven that they love yours. And so when you get to go in and now you get to have that look, it's just like game changing, making it so much just easier.
So
I
also
can
with
change
Greg's
it.
style. So sorry. It's also with Greg with G preset like styles, you can actually purchase them as we have a new sellers like. We have many photographers that actually sell their profile on Imagen and actually have, instead of a preset, they actually created a profile, AI profile, which is different convention, I would say. It's new things in the market.
Yeah.
So cool.
It's an evolution, like you said. It's the next version of how our workflows are going to work. It's the evolution from profiles or from presets to profiles.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a clear graph too. When you zoom out, you realize this is a clear graph of evolution.
Yeah.
So good. Well,
and I can choose different ones. I just want to I get nerdy about this, but so I could go in to this wedding is going to be like Miles Whit Boyer. This wedding's going to be the way Susan would do it, as if I could choose a different style depending on if I'm at the beach or in the mountains.
Yeah, you can change. If you didn't like the edit, you can just switch your edits to other talents. Yeah.
It'll be done in under 10 minutes.
That's crazy.
Wow.
All right. This is exciting.
Ron, I love this because it's always fun to meet people who like to serve the same people. We're all about helping wedding photographers and getting to that next level and bypassing the many hours of trial and error that we've put in, and that multiple people have put in, and that you've put in. And so it's so great to just find a community, just Donnie and I, to find a community like you and Imagine that are built to help the wedding photography industry. So your people are our people, and we love to help them with their businesses and get time back with their family, because let's be real, this career can be a time sucker if you don't treat it right. I'm super stoked. And for anybody watching, we so happen to be cool affiliates for this company. So if you want some free edits, go check it out. We have a link in the description. Use our code and check out Imagine and give it a shot yourself and see what this is all about. It's amazing. And it can be life-changing for you and business-changing.
It is. Yeah, it's a game changer. And thank you for having me here, guys. I really enjoy the philosophical talk, and also to hear your ideas and thoughts. I think they are very innovative, and I really enjoyed it.
That's
Absolutely.
awesome,
Can't wait to do it in person. We come down to Israel and go out for some beers with the boys and get to chat over it in person.
Yeah, please do.
Wait, just a matter of time. We'll be there.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Ron, thanks so much, man.
Hope y'all enjoyed today. I know you did. So jump on, like Sam said, hit the link, jump into Imagine, and just start exploring. It will change your life.